a true eternal purpose of the Bible is as follows. You hear the Word of God, and the Word of God becomes a pathway to a fact. You hear a fact, and it becomes a pathway to a thought. Once you've heard a thought, it becomes a pathway to truth. Once you've heard the truth, it becomes a pathway to a principle. And once you hear a principle, it becomes a pathway to a decision. And once you make a decision, it becomes a pathway to action. You got that? That's the purpose of every time you hear the Word of God. Action will never take place unless decision has taken place. Decision will never take place unless you have a principle. Principle will never take place unless you have truth. Truth will never take place unless you have a thought. Thought will never take place unless you have a fact. And a fact will never take place unless you have the Word of God. I hope you got that. Any Ivy League college that a person goes to, any Christian college that a person goes to, unless it ends up in the implementation of the truth, of a principle, of a decision, of facts from the words, is not an education. It's simply an amplified display of superficial reality in a status symbol case. Now, this is what happens. If you understand that correctly, there's a very special verse in Psalm 13:2 that we're using now. How long shall I take counsel in my soul? For my heart is in sorrow daily. How long shall my enemy be exalted over me? Where's the enemy? In the soul. What's the soul? Deceitful and desperately wicked apart from God. That's why the psalmist said in Psalm 41:4, heal my soul. The soul is your mind, your emotions, your conscience, your self-consciousness, and your volition. And then, of course, your old sin nature. It has 5 parts plus the old sin nature. Now, watch it carefully. There's people after people after people that are sick today, and I'm going to show you why they're sick. They have more accidents than Carter does liver pills. They're always getting in an accident. They're always sick. They're always murmuring to God. They're always mourning. They're in mourning all the time. And I'm going to show you why today. I'm going to be right up front with you, like I always am. I'll tell you what. The words don't lead to facts to them. If it does, it stops there, and they just repeat the facts. The facts are not a pathway to thoughts, good thoughts from God. And thoughts are not a pathway to divine truth. And truth is not a pathway to a principle. And principle is not a pathway to a decision. And a decision is not a pathway to wonderful application of God's nature. Now, these people stop somewhere along the line, and so they never apply the truth. And they want to be counsel without ever acting upon the counselor, Jesus Christ. If you'll follow this carefully. The Word of God says in Job 32:8 that there is a spirit in man, and the inspiration of the Almighty has given them understanding. That means experiencing the truth in action. Job 33 and verse 4 says, the Spirit of the Lord hath made me, and the breath of the Almighty hath given me life. But watch this carefully. Proverbs 20, verse 27 says, the Spirit in a man is the candle of the Lord that searcheth all of his emotions out. 1 Corinthians 2, eye hath not seen, ear hath not heard, neither is entered into the heart of man what God has prepared for them that love him. No. But God reveals it by his Spirit, for the Spirit searcheth all things, even the deep things of God. What things knoweth the Spirit of God, or the things of God, but by the Spirit of God? Then verse 11, 1 Corinthians 2, what knoweth the things of a man, save by the Spirit of the man? For we have not received the spirit of this world, but the Spirit which is of God. Now, here's the great problem. Do you know that my soul can only take so much about life? A child of God that hears and carries that through to a decision and then action is the Christian that cannot be conquered. He's a winner. He's a winner. Listen, he's a joyous winner. A Christian who has a value system that is invisible is a winner.